So I know I personally struggled and have struggled in the past with the business side of running a creative herbal endeavor. Did you know anything about starting a business, or has this been your first experience? And what were your biggest challenges in getting started, and how did you overcome them? Because I know that a lot of people, like, herbalism is kind of, a lot of times I feel like it forms in the category of creative businesses, and people who do herbs don't necessarily know or are good at the business side, and but often you need to actually learn that to make some money at your craft.
I totally know where you're coming from on this, and I was actually really excited to talk about this one. Yeah, I would say for the longest time, I think it was like a lack of confidence in myself. But I was I would say from 20 till I started HerbRally, I always kind of viewed myself as a company man or whatever. Like I thought that I didn't know that I had any sort of entrepreneurial, acumen at all, because I worked at the hospital for 7 years, and then I worked at Mountain Reserves, for 11 years. And my previous job, I worked there for 3 years. So I had these long-term jobs multiple times in a row. And then for whatever reason, I started getting into business and marketing. So I started consuming that type of content just to kind of learn about it, because that's where my curiosities led me. Then I started remembering, I was like, oh my gosh, before Craigslist, there were these things called classified ads in the newspaper. And I would take out classified ads as like a 10-year-old that says, I will mow your lawn for $5, and stuff like that. And I would go around with our lawnmower and I'd mow people's lawns. I'd weed for people. I remember I joined up with my other like 10 or 11-year-old friend too, and we created posters and put them all over town. I vividly remember one of the posters said, "We'll work for Nachos."
Did you get
there where the nutrition element came in?
One of our other slogans was "cheap, but not too cheap," which my dad really loved. He still brings that up. It's funny to look back as what you were doing when you were a kid, and maybe there was some like sadness at the time, but I had this like creative spirit, and I think that really always was deep inside me, as to wanting to start some sort of business, but I didn't really have the confidence to do so. So, fast forward, the seed of the idea of HerbRally, and then, Jennifer, like you were saying, where we relate, like we just sit on stuff forever. And for me, it was just a lack of confidence. Oh, who am I to do this thing? And then I just said, F it, if you will. I think there was a part of that question where it said, what do you have to overcome or something? But basically, and it's so cliche, but I think you just have to kind of jump off the ledge and do it. And the other bit of advice I'd give is, and it does seem kind of counter to the herbal world, because I know that we're all, anti-capitalist and stuff like that. But like you said, we got to make a living somehow. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to make money at doing something you love. So what I started doing was I would listen to these business podcasts, business books, audiobooks, and like marketing and stuff like that. So I think if you have the willingness to consume that type of content, even though it's so far off from the herbalism that we all know and love, I think it's worthwhile, because you'll get inspired and get a lot of ideas on how to grow your own business.